Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, Pakistan is demanding from Afghanistan from the long time that not to allow anyone to use Afghan soil for terrorist activities against Pakistan. Take decisive action against all those who took refuge at their soil for the terrorist activities, particularly the banned outfits like Tehreek-e-Taliban and their affiliates. End all terrorist sanctuaries and hand over TTP leadership to Pakistan. But unfortunately, Afghanistan was always in the state of denial and done nothing. After a terrorist attack on the latest one on 16th of March 2024 in North Waziristan, Mir Ali, at least 7 sons of soil, the brave hearts, laid their lives for the protection and defense of Pakistan against the terrorists. Pakistan then retaliated with an intelligence-based aerial strike on some of the provinces, and the terrorist outfits were hit inside Afghanistan. According to the government estimates, at least or around 6,000 of the Tehreek-e-Taliban fighters, the terrorists, have took refuge at the Afghan soil in different provinces along with the Pak-Afghan border. Pakistan also urged United Nations to have a thorough investigation into the source of funding and also the provision of latest weaponry to TTP terrorists. Reality is that just in the last year, 2023, more than 650 terrorist attacks happened across Pakistan, in which 1,000 or more than 1,000 people were martyred, and most of them were either the law enforcement agencies or the military people. Almost 90% of these attacks were unfortunately facilitated, planned, and then afterward executed, and the Afghan soil was used. Today, the Prime Minister, during his cabinet meeting, addressing that cabinet meeting, he has once again shown his firm resolve to fight this menace of terrorism and to end it. And he categorically said that Pakistan will never ever tolerate the terrorist activities inside Pakistan from its neighborly country, from across the border. He also invited the neighboring countries to have negotiations, have talks on this important subject to root out terrorism, the menace, and also bring growth and development in entire region. To talk on this important subject, we have in our studios Mr. Hassan Khan. He is the senior journalist. Most welcome to you, Hassan. Thank you very much for your presence here. And also joining us, Mr. Salman Javed. He is the Afghan Affairs expert and also Director General Pak-Afghan Forum. Most welcome to you, Salman. Thank you very much for joining. And Hassan, when we are talking about, as Salman is saying, that Pakistan repeatedly called the Kabul government, Kabul authority, to take decisive action against all those terrorist outfits, including their affiliates and all that, and hand over all these, the leadership of the banned TTP to Pakistan. But they are always not only in denial mode, but they are having lots of stories to ask. So why they are having double standards? Why they don't want to cooperate with Pakistan?
Thank you very much, Faisal. Look, I think it is quite unfortunate, as you also mentioned in your intro, the number of terrorist attacks that happen in Pakistan and the number of casualties are the martyrdoms which the security forces, the law enforcement agencies, and the ordinary citizens of Pakistan which offered for this land facing the terrorists. I think that is very alarming. And today I'm quite satisfied when in the initial statement before the cabinet meeting.
Yes, definitely.
The Prime Minister has reiterated, and he was categorical and quite clear and very balanced in saying that hence onward Pakistan will not tolerate any terrorist act from anywhere, especially from across the border. And he avoid naming any particular country, but he was referring repeatedly to the neighboring states. So particularly this is, as you mentioned, this is Afghanistan, from where the TTP is operating since I think as its birth. However, its activity got acceleration when the Taliban, the Amarat-e-Islami, took over. And Pakistan has repeatedly, and I think as Salman is mentioning, that Pakistan has done a lot for the Amarat-e-Islami to give them exposure, to bring them at international fora, to call the international meeting on Afghanistan, etc. And I think Pakistan has supported the Taliban at the cost of its image for 20 years when they were fighting against the Americans, etc. So I think this is the time for the Amarat-e-Islami leadership to pay back at least what was offered to them by the people of Pakistan, by the government of Pakistan. But unfortunately, they are not responding in a way which we were expecting. And initially, we were having a lot of expectations that being having their families here, being brought, being carried out their what you call it, the so-called jihad from here. So we were expecting that they will pay back to the people of Pakistan in the same kind, and they will stop these terrorists using their siles, which they also agreed in the Doha agreement with the US. And it's quite interesting thing is that since 2019, when negotiations start with the US, between the US and the Taliban militia, then it was a militia, since that day, since till today, there is not a single attack on the US interest. Even the US forces were spared when they were negotiating the terms and conditions for almost
it's quite interesting,
for
right?
almost 2 years. It doesn't mean that the Taliban do not have the capacity. I think it is the matter of the will.
Obviously,
yeah,
obviously.
They are,
so
yeah.
why the Afghan will is nowhere? Because we have seen over the years that initially during the Karzai administration, then afterwards we have seen during Ashraf Ghani's government, and now the so-called Pakistan. What Pakistan call it, that Afghan Taliban is going to be cooperative in past. But unfortunately, Afghan Taliban is not going to cooperate. They are not ready to cooperate. And why they have some sort of a dual character? On one side, when they meet Pakistani delegations, they say that Afghan soil will never ever use against Pakistan. And when Pakistan ask them, give them the proofs, the solid evidences that terrorists are there and take action, and they say that there is no terrorists. So from where it all happens, why they have the dual character, why they have the dual nature?
Look, Faisal, I think the fault doesn't lie in the stars. As for this issue is concerned, especially the terrorists using the Afghan soil, I think we have to look into as in inclusivity with the whole issue. Yes, when Taliban took over, we were having a lot of expectations. I think the Pakistan's biggest problem, Pakistan's managers, policy makers' biggest problem is understanding the Afghan psyche. We were having a lot of expectation. Either it was President Karzai, it was President Ghani, even it was the Taliban previously, when it was the Mujahideen. I think what the fault is, I think, let's look into our own side. Basically, we did not deal with the Afghan the way other nations are dealing with them. We have a special status in our hearts and in our midst for the Afghans. We allow hundreds of thousands of Afghan without documents to cross the border and just enter Pakistan and go anywhere they want to and roam around and work and do businesses, etc. So I think Afghans taken Pakistans for granted. In a way that this is our
that's the prime reason.
Our right.
That's the prime
this is
reason.
our rights, and they avoid responding to the serious demands which Pakistan was putting before them. I think we were, as people like us, we were stressing on the government of Pakistan that as far as the Afghan's policy is concerned, there should be a clear policy on Afghans, clearly defined and well-dotted policy on the paper. But unfortunately, we were not having that. We were dealing with them as the people of our own country for the last 40 years. You know, the influx of Afghans, refugees during the last 4 decades, I think it was phenomenal. And even until recently, the border points, whether it was Turkham, whether it was Chamans, it was Angurada, or it was Ghulam Khana, Tirimangal, Kharlachi, etc., we were having the Afghans crossing the borders in thousands without having documents, without any person asking them that, my brother, where you are going? Do you have the
your
documents or
point well
not?
taken.
So I think this is this is our casual behavior with the Afghans, various governments with the Afghans. I think they are now taking Pakistan for granted.
Your point well taken, Hassan. Salman, when we are talking about the strike which Pakistan conducted, the retaliatory strike at the terrorist hideouts in Afghanistan, after that there was a statement by the Afghan Interim Authority, and that statement has lots of meaning. So how do you see that statement and what you conceive out of that?
First of all, this is not the first time that Pakistan carried out such a strike. In April 2022, Pakistan carried out a cross-border airstrike in the area of Post, and many more people actually were claimed by both sides that they were eliminated in that strike. And even then, the Afghan interim government issued some kind of statement. There were kind of a certain escalation at the border, and the same is happening or repeating right now as well. I don't think so that the statement coming out of Afghanistan will have a much more meaning, or it will probably fall on the deaf ears, because
I think so. I think so. There is a distortion in your voice. I think so. Some of the technical issue. Hassan, how do you respond this statement which was issued by Zabiullah Mujahid?
This is not the first time. You know, on September 6, when they attacked, launched attack at the Torkham checkpoint, there were 200 or 300 people crossed in upper in the Chatral region. In the Chatral was attacked. So even then, Pakistan was repeatedly asking them, as Salman was saying, that Pakistan was repeatedly asking them to take care of these people because they are attacking inside Pakistan using the Afghan side. But they have this, I think, this habit of what we call it, denying the things. Look, how can they deny when the UN report is saying that 20 terrorist groups are operating, and even somehow Taliban are in support of them. They are providing
facilities, they are providing refuge.
Everybody is saying that Al-Qaeda is there, TTP is there, ISKP is there, IMU is there, TTT is there, ETIM is there. So, these are the big terrorist syndicate. I'm not asking of the small group like the Commander Hafiz Gul Bahadur or Commander the other the small
individual
terrorists, small organization. So, when Pakistanis authorities, once they were negotiating with the TTP people, or the 30 plus people representing the TTP, they were there, they were in Serena, and everybody knew that they are just roaming around in the streets of Kabul. So then the Cigar report is also quite clear about it, that these terrorist networks are using the Afghan soil against Pakistan and can be a threat to the regional peace, and in a wider sense, these can threaten the global peace also, if not taken care of.
Yes.
So I think instead of just rejecting, instead of just going into the denial mood, Amarat Islami leadership must respond to it. And I think today the Prime Minister also asked for sitting and sorting out the things on a negotiation table. So I think this is a proper opportunity for Afghans to respond to it, that yes, we are ready. If Pakistan has certain concern, instead of using the loudspeaker and megaphone and communicating with each other, let's sit either in Islamabad, let's sit either in Kabul,
obviously,
and sort it out, what they can do and what we can do.
Your point well taken. Salman, when we are talking about the acquiring of funds or having sorts of latest provision of latest weaponry, Pakistan also demanded to the United Nations to investigate this thoroughly, that how they are getting weaponry, latest weaponry, and from where. So how do you see this aspect that terrorist outfits, particularly TTP, is getting those weapons?
When I was in Kabul in year 2022, I saw many weapons which were Americans left there in the hands of the foot soldiers or in the hands of commanders of Afghan interim government. When I asked them that how will they keep the stock of it, they said that we have already taken care of it, and we have banned the sale of such weapons in the market. But later on, we found out that those weapons found their way towards the black market as well. So I think there is a kind of loose control on those weapons, or there is someone in the Afghan intelligence agency GDI who is playing a duplicitous role over there, and they are kind of providing this leftover of American weapon to the TTP. As far as the funds are concerned,
do you think that if Afghans are actually denying that they have have all sorts of protection that this weapon is not going to into the wrong hands. So, whether this weapon is directly provided by the interim authority, or the terrorist outfits are getting it from the different black markets.
I don't think so that it is coming from the black market. Or, you know how spy games work. Like I said, that their intelligence agency GDI, there are rumors of certain sections who are supporting TTP, and they are providing those weapons through either black market channels or directly. That doesn't matter. The issue is that those weapons which we saw that Afghan interim government claimed that they have taken stock of, they are landing in the hands of those terrorist outfits which are conducting the terrorist activities inside Pakistan. As far as funds are concerned, recently the our special envoy towards Afghanistan, Asif Durrani, Sub Ambassador Asif Durrani, he also mentioned categorically that the funds have been provided by India to these proxies, that TTP, to conduct terrorist activities.
Asif Durrani's statement tell us more complex situation, because his statement is actually that these terrorist outfits are funded by India through Afghan proxies. So, do you think that Afghan proxies, including some of the Taliban factions, they are also actively involved in funding and providing weapons to them?
Well, we don't have, a concrete evidence to that, because this evidence obviously has been collected by the intelligence agencies, and I'm sure that they have their share of information with them. And based upon that information, obviously, a high official issued such a statement, which was then well taken, or duly noted by international forums as well. International outlets reported upon that. So I think there is some substance to this information. But unfortunately, like I said, that there is a loose control inside in Afghan interim government right now. Apparently, they have a very stringent hierarchy, but when you go onto the ground, you find that Afghan interim government is not that much in control of its local commanders, who can, wreak havoc not only inside their territory but also across border.
So, when we are talking about Pakistan demanding from United Nations to have thorough investigation, so it is astonishing that how these terrorist outfits, particularly Tehreek-e-Taliban and their affiliates, their families, all of the terrorists who have taken refuge at the Afghan soil, how their livelihoods are actually going on, how they are getting those funds. As Pakistan says that at least around 6,000 of the TTP fighters or militants or terrorists have taken refuge over there, and if their families are added upon, it is more than 30,000, more than might be 50,000 people are residing there in Afghanistan.
So UNHCR, if you talk to them, they will tell you that the people who Afghan government claim that they are living over there inside Afghanistan, in these areas, particularly Khost, Paktika, Kunard, or down towards the south as well, in some parts of the south as well, they are living there in the status of refugee. So these 6,000 or 7,000 people living over there in the garb or in the cover of refugees, and so is the case with their families as well. So whenever Pakistan, if you closely observe, whenever Pakistan talks about surrendering of TTP, they also say that they have to, the Afghan interim government have to hand over these TTP refugees back to Pakistan. So this is a very complex situation where Pakistan need to involve not only international stakeholders but also United Nations as well, because right now it is a cover being given by the United Nations technically, not consciously obviously, but technically, and that is where they have been protected by the Afghan interim government. So this needs to be taken off, and the refugee status needs to be revoked so that Pakistan can exert more pressure upon Afghan interim government.
Your point well taken, Salman. Hassan, soon after the intelligence-based aerial operation which Pakistan conducted inside Afghanistan, Ministry of Foreign Affairs has issued a statement, and in which they categorically said that there are elements among interim authority who are actively patronizing TTP and using them as a proxy against Pakistan. Why Kabul is doing so?
I think this is quite obvious. most of the time in your program I have said that maybe the senior leadership of Amarat-e-Islami may not be involved in it, but at least there is the third tier and the second tier, the second and the third tier leadership. They are hand in glove with the, because they were very close. They fought against the internationals for almost 20 years, and the TTP boys were just using as a conduit. They were providing I think the resources, men and material from the Pakistani side or from the refugees came inside Pakistan. So they are very close to each other, and that's the reason I think Afghan Taliban are unable to take control of them. The reason is their own people, and you know, most of the, when the last government, when the reports came out that 24 terrorist suicide attack, 14 were the Afghan soldier, were the Afghan national. So even today, the certain attacks like in D.I. Khan, like in Job, like in Kila Abdullah, etc., where the Afghan nationals were involved in attacking the Pakistani security forces or the law enforcement agency. So it is quite obvious that they are not only providing men and material, they are also proper housing, proper families facilities, etc. So this is not only that they are part of it, they are properly taking care of them. So maybe the senior leadership have problems, maybe they are sympathetic, because recently a delegation who visited Kabul and interacted with the senior leadership, I have gathered a sense that they were telling us that the senior leadership is sympathetic toward Pakistan demand, particularly of TTP, and they are aware that.
But the local leadership is actually
not the local. I think this is even the second tier leadership is sympathetic toward the TTP instead of Pakistan. The third tier leadership, they are cooperating with each other. They are fighting against Pakistan together. So I think this is a big challenge for Afghan Taliban, and they have to look into it.
Means there is a rift in between the Afghan
It
Taliban.
seems like that, yes.
So Salman, as Hassan said, that there seems to be a rift among the Afghan Taliban ranks right now, that senior leadership is approximately isolated, might be because of the third tier or second tier leadership. So do you think that this is because that Pakistan's stated policy is to take action against all terrorist outfits and not to negotiate? But on the other hand, Interim Authority, Afghan Interim Authority keep on saying it, that you have to negotiate and not taking any action against the Tehreek-e-Taliban and their affiliates. So why the two different positions we have? It is just because that they have rift among each other in Kabul?
So I was discussing this thing with one of the Afghan friends yesterday, and I said to him that when Taliban took over Kabul back in August 2022, there was a chance to resolve this issue in the very first initial months, and Taliban, could have taken an unpopular decision and could have, asked TTP to lay down their weapons and sit on the table. But what they did is that they stalled the process and tried to, come through other means and methods and channels like, sitting on the table and negotiating with the TTP. And this gave TTP a kind of, an opportunity to entrench itself more inside the Afghan territory. And now they have become a kind of, a problem for them as well. So if Afghan Taliban will, go on a throttle against them with an aggressive policy, with a clampdown on them, they fear that they will defect towards the ISKP, which is a much bigger threat to them right now inside their territory. Then the second element is this, that there is a rift between Afghan Taliban and their ranks and files as well. The Kandahari group, they are not very much in favor of keeping TTP inside Afghan territory. But on the other end, Haqqanis are, are in close connection with the TTP, because the elements in Loya Paktiya back in the days, they took refuge with the elements over here in TTP. In Pakistani, buffer state, which was, kind of buffer zone at that point of time, and TTP hosted them over here. So they have a kind of historical relation with them, and they are trying to, protect them over there. And because of that, probably there is a, lack of confidence inside Afghan elite as well, the Afghan interim government's elite as well, that they are unable to take a decision to, either to ask the TTP to surrender or, go against them. But Pakistan is now very much clear that there will be no negotiations until unless there will be
Definitely, you are absolutely very right,
surrender.
because of the infighting within the Afghan Taliban, there is a problem within Kabul as well. So that is one of the reason why they are not able to take the decisive action against all those terrorist outfits. Hassan, when we are talking about Afghan authority not ready to cooperate with Pakistan, why there is they are not preferring to have some sort of negotiation or dialogues on this important issue? Why they are stressing all along that to have dialogue with TTP rather than dialogue with the interim authority? Why is so?
I think there are, yes, that is their position, that Pakistan shall negotiate with the TTP terrorists instead of negotiating with the Afghan Taliban, because they, basically somehow they are trying to make these TTP people settle in a proper way and got a fair share of their demand from the Pakistani authority. The other thing is, I think Pakistan also need to understand the ground situation in inside Afghanistan. Taliban, they may be posing that they have a control over the entire country, they have a control over the entire system. However, they are, as Salman is also, you also pointed out that their internal rifts are also quite gradually getting clear. So they have these problems, they have the other problem, etc. They have to face the ISKP. They have the fear that if we put a hard hand on these
So if they have any sort of a capacity issue, or if they have any sort of assistance issue or anything else, we don't see any sort of a will even that if they want to have some sort of assistance from Pakistan,
Foreign Office,
why they are not asking for that, why they are not requesting for that. Pakistan is ready to extend every possible assistance to their military as well to take on all those terrorist outfits. So why they are not
basically
going towards that?
That is their ego issue. And I think that's quite, as for sometimes I say, Afghans have this false arrogance in this, instead of looking at their own house, the way their country is, they are still boosting of nothing, etc. So it is their false arrogance, it is their this ego problem, that instead of seeking cooperation from Pakistan, from other international community I think to eliminate these terrorist networks, they are just saying that we will do it and we are doing it and we will. I think that is anyway, and Pakistan has internationalized this issue. Now I see that the international community will also put pressure on Amarat-e-Islami to respond to the Pakistan's demand, because what Pakistan has done through these strike across the border and taking the issue to the UN Security Councils, Pakistan is trying to convince the world that TTP is not only a threat to Pakistan but to the regional peace.
It's a global threat.
A global threat to the region.
No doubt about it. Thank you very much, Hassan Khan, for being here in the studios. Thank you very much for your candid views. So nice of you. Salman, when we are talking about Pak-Afghan foreign ministers, exchange pleasantries at the telephone, Afghan foreign minister generously invited Pakistani counterpart to visit Kabul a few days ago. So do you think that only the talks and negotiations will provide opportunity for peace and stability, not only in Afghanistan, but also to address this important and real issue?
Obviously, every conflict or every war or every battle, at the end of the day, it will be resolved at the table. So this will also lead towards that particular element as well, that the stakeholders from both countries will sit on a table and they will resolve this issue or other issues between Pakistan and Afghanistan as well. As far as TTP is concerned, like I stated before, Pakistan has a very clear-cut policy now, and this is actually because the initial statement that I gave in this program, that there is a timeline in last 2.5 years that Pakistan actually exhausted all kind of diplomatic channels before resorting to this, military hard power, show of military hard power for taking out the terrorist hideouts across border. So I think Pakistan has stated a clear policy now that until and unless Afghan interim government will not show an apparent willing to put TTP on the table, disarmed, until then Pakistan will not be sitting on the table with them. Beyond that, Pakistan will always be, seeking good relations with Afghanistan. Pakistan has, very historic and cordial relations with all the regimes, try to have those cordial relations. And Pakistan has a policy to have a peaceful Afghanistan, because we understand on our side that if there is a spillover of terrorism or unstable Afghanistan towards Pakistan, then there will definitely be a spillover of peaceful Afghanistan towards Pakistan. So Pakistan seeks a kind of peaceful Afghanistan, a peaceful Kabul, and for that, Pakistan
Well elaborated,
actually.
Salman. Viewers, we welcome here our another guest, Brigadier Dr. Rashid Wali Janjua, retired. He is the Director Research Policy. He is the Director Research Policy, Islamabad Policy Research Institute, IPRI, and most welcome to you, Brigadier Dr. Sahab. Thank you very much for your presence here in the studios. How do you see militarily and regarding diplomacy at the diplomatic level, the action taken by Pakistan after so many years Pakistan was demanding to take action against the terrorist groups inside Afghanistan?
You see, this was coming because Pakistan has been engaging regularly with the Afghan interim government, but that didn't cut much ice with them, and they remain obdurate and ambivalent in their response. We used to say that there is a capacity deficit and there is a will deficit, but now having engaged with them for so long and with the active engagement channels very open, especially our special representative on Afghanistan, Mr. Asif Durrani. He's an excellent choice for the job, and he's done a great job engaging with the Afghan interim government and impressing upon them the need to rein in such elements.
Obviously.
But all such efforts have withered on the vine of Afghan interim government obduracy. You see, from capacity deficit, I think my analysis would now lean on to will deficit.
Yes.
Because for far too long we thought it was a capacity deficit, but once you see their capacity to eliminate elements like Daesh, if they can eliminate Daesh, why not such elements like
definitely, you are absolutely right, because when the purpose of sincerity is there, when you want to do something, when you have the will, that would be done, as you have rightly pointed out about Daesh. And if you don't have the will, then capacity is not the issue basically. You can ask, you can request any sort of, you can ask Pakistan. Pakistan will provide whatever in Pakistan's capacity. So, when this retaliatory action taken by Pakistan, soon after we have seen a statement, we have already discussed it, but one of the dimension of it is that when Kabul says that they have long experience of freedom struggle against the superpowers of the world and does not allow anyone to invade their territory, what it means basically?
You see, this is just rhetoric. If you see history, objectively, Afghanistan has been ravaged time and again by invaders, starting with Alexander the Great. During the Mughal Empire, it was Subai-e-Kabul. Then Ranjit Singh conquered as far as in the present Pak-Afghan border. I mean, rhetoric aside, every sovereign country, definitely in Afghan interim government at this point of time, would make such macho noises to placate the public opinion.
Obviously.
But it doesn't mean much, because it's not the question of violation of sovereignty. Time and again they have been told that, look, let's cooperate. Here is a clear imprint of TTP. These are the bases.
Definitely, you are absolutely right, because Pakistan was in just wait and watch mode at that time, when Pakistan was just thinking about that now Afghan interim authority is going to take action against all those terrorists. Now they are going to, but unfortunately they haven't.
Unfortunately for them, they have not been able to engage with the international community positively, and they are paying the price of international isolation now. There is a very little tolerance in the world about terrorism nowadays, and we have seen that there are countries like Turkey who have gone in hot pursuit, invoking the international law provision of hot pursuit in Syria and Iraq,
Obviously,
where they have
yes.
sanitized the areas, and not only sanitized, they have established their enclaves against PKK and other Kurdish elements. Now, it is exactly the same situation here. Afghanistan is equally destabilized. Afghan interim government has no will to rein in TTP. Now, these are the bases which are being actively abetted and supported through a financial lifeline by Indian agency RAW. And if that happens, the suicide bombers are prepared and they are sedulously cultivated, and they are given ideological ballast also by the trainers, and then launched into Pakistan's territory. Now, this cannot be countenanced lightly by any sovereign country.
Definitely, your
Pakistan has
point
responded.
well taken. Your point well taken. Salman, when we are talking about that, or when we say that Pak-Afghan destinies are intervened, and then why always there is a non-cooperation from Afghanistan? Do you think that it's only the love is only from one side, or one-sided love? It is from only from Pakistan and not from Afghanistan?
This is we would not call it a one-sided love. This is a kind of realization because we follow the vision of our founding fathers. Allama Iqbal said that Afghanistan is like the heart of Asia. If it is disturbed, the whole of Asia will be disturbed. So we understand, like I said before, we understand that if there is a spillover of an unstable Afghanistan towards Pakistan, there will be a spillover of a stable Afghanistan towards Pakistan as well. So Pakistan is actually following that premise that we would want to have a very peaceful and progressive Afghanistan rather than an unstable and a safe haven of terrorists or proxies, which may carry out cross-border terrorist activities inside Pakistan. So the unfortunate element over here is that in past 2 decades in particular, Pakistan reached out to every government, be it was Karzai, it was Ghani, and now the entire government of Afghanistan, and tried to resolve this issue of TTP with them and other issues as well. But the kind of response that we received from the other side is not very healthy. And this is where Pakistan now actually, drawing a red line, like Dr. Saab also mentioned, that Pakistan has had enough now. And there is a realization, a kind of realization that I'm privy of on the, inside of one-time government as well, that many of their officials now are thinking that they do not have many options to have a breathing space inside region if they will have, if they will lock horns with Pakistan for, this and to continue this vicious cycle of violence with them. So I think Pakistan need to tap into that, and Pakistan will definitely find out a way out to resolve this issue and, to snub these terrorists once for all.
Your point well taken. Brigadier Sahib, when we are talking about this particularly retaliatory action with Pakistan taken, do you think that after that, because they don't have any other mechanism except the artillery at their border, so they might use their leverage at TTP and their affiliates into the bordering regions of Pakistan to take revenge of this airstrike what Pakistan did?
Yes, they might do so if they don't see the light of reason, and if they don't see the value in engaging positively with Pakistan. But if they see the value of positive engagement, I'm sure they'll take it in that spirit and engage with Pakistan, basically to find a solution to this continual problem that is like a festering sore on their own territory. They have a Daesh issue. They don't see eye to eye with Al-Qaeda too, and Pakistan has actually cooperated with them in against Daesh, and they must pay us back in the same coin at least.
Definitely.
And they must rein in TTP, or they must deny those sanctuaries.
But unfortunately, they have the history of non-cooperation, not from Afghan interim authority, but previously as well. So, do you think that right now TTP is acting as an extension to the Afghan interim authority?
I tend to agree with you. There are some credible reports that some important ministers, they are also treating this TTP issue very lightly, and there are also reports that TTP splinter groups like Hafiz Gul Bahadur, Tipu Masood, those have been nudged towards Qari Noor Masood, who is the current head.
Noor Wali Masood.
Noor Wali Masood. So, this is very dangerous. If this thing is coming from the influential quarters inside Afghanistan, interim Afghan government has to do a lot of soul searching, and they are playing with fire by doing so, because they will stoke the fires of insurgency not only in Pakistan's territory, but that might engulf their own territory as well, because there are tribal linkages and there are non-state actors which are operating. We are on the look to destabilize Afghanistan as well. But as we see, since the temporal and the spiritual power resides now with Mullah Hibatullah Akhund, his word is the last word. So, actually I would think that all engagement efforts must veer towards winning him over, because if he issues a religious edict, so far he has just issued a Amar, which was bandied about obviously as a fatwa. It was not a fatwa. A clear message which has the status of a religious fatwa has to come from him, that look, these attacks by TTP on fellow Muslims across the border are illegal or haram.
Definitely, your point well taken. Your point well taken. Salman, when we are talking about Afghanistan issue, that is hurting Pakistan socially, economically, and politically as well. So, do you not think that there must have to be a grand national dialogue among all the political stakeholders in Pakistan to have a consensus on Afghan issue particularly and related to terrorism especially? So, do you think that this is important to have a consensus and a unified voice from Pakistan, number one, and second is, then you have to go to have some sort of negotiations with the Afghan interim authority if they intend to.
Definitely, like Hassan Khan also mentioned before that in today's cabinet meeting, the Prime Minister also mentioned this resolve that showed this resolve.
Prime Minister mentioned categorically.
Yeah, they will be going after the terrorists, and they will not let them carry out these activities inside Pakistan. So I think there is a need to have a grand national consensus. There is no doubt about it. But given in the current political scenario of Pakistan and the polarization that we are facing, this will be one of the major challenges that the new government will be facing. So they will have to carry out this extra effort to gather around all these political fringe elements as well, and bring them to the table and ask them to put aside all their political differences and work upon this particular issue of dealing with the Afghan problem. I would not call it a Afghan problem, but the TTP problem emanating from the Afghanistan.
Your point well taken. And when we are saying, Brigadier Sahib, when we are saying it, that from the last many years, unfortunately, there is a non-cooperation from Kabul, no matter what the government is there. So, there is a strong thinking in Pakistan as well, that Kabul not only ignored Pakistan, decades-long sacrifices, the refugees and the problems socially we have here in Pakistan as well. Now, by siding the terrorists particularly, working against the people of Pakistan, whether they are once again showing 1947 rivalry, when this all started actually?
See, there is an element of Afghan irredentism playing its part, Afghan nationalism, and then there is a kind of historical baggage attached. We know the Dir Bajod operations Pakistan conducted. Once Afghanistan tried to make an incursion in Bajod, they were beaten back through basically an artillery reprisal. So that rankles with them. And they are nationalists, and they are too proud of their heritage, and they think that perhaps there is a kind of a superiority that their ideology enjoys. But at the same time, there are so many linkages too. So this region is ethnically linked, historically linked. They should see the value of trade, of positive engagement with Pakistan, and if that happens, I'm sure it will redound to their advantage. But if it doesn't happen, Pakistan Pakistan is showing its resolve. The cross-border regimen is being tightened. Pakistan is taking care of its own territory. Afghan illegal residents, they are being deported back. So all this will create unnecessary problems for Afghanistan, and the government should be mature enough to understand. Coming to our own, putting our own house in order, I think we need to concentrate more on coherence, consistency in our FATA, ex-FATA policies,
erstwhile
FATA, and our policies vis-a-vis these non-state actors like TTP. And the first thing sitting at the apex is the political ownership. The political ownership, consistency in policy is a must.
Definitely.
You can't have a house divided, that the federal government is thinking on some of the lines, and the KP.
Obviously.
So KP, there's a government in KP which thinks differently on certain issues, and I think that government needs to foster consensus, and it needs to think in terms of national interest now.
Obviously,
the petty politics have to be kept aside.
Absolutely.
This is a clear and present danger emerging, and if these things are not taken seriously, let me tell you, the heat which is being felt in the newly merged districts will soon engulf our settled areas. There is a police capacity vacuum in NMDs, there is a civil administrative vacuum, there is a judicial vacuum. Army is the only institution which is holding the fort alone.
And doing all very bravely over there,
and
no doubt about that.
So
Brigadier Dr. Rashid Wali Janjua, retired, thank you very much for your presence in the studios. Thank you very much for your very candid views, well elaborated. Thank you very much. So nice of you. And Salman, Javed, thank you very much for your precious time at online, particularly very important points you have mentioned about how Pakistan-Afghanistan relations could get through to this difficult time. Thank you very much. So nice of you. Viewers, as our panelists suggested, and it is very important for Afghanistan to realize that their people needs electricity, their people needs gas, their people needs food, security, jobs and all other, and most important is their rights and education. So it is important for them, not that terrorism flourish there at their soil. And right at this time, as per United Nations reports, more than 20 terrorist organizations took refuge at the Afghan soil. That must have to be eliminated, including Tehreek-e-Taliban, that is the banned outfit and inflicting terrorism upon Pakistan. Pakistan has categorically said that Pakistan will never ever tolerate any sort of a terrorist activity inside its country emanating from Afghan soil. It is loud and clear, and especially after the retaliatory strike at some of the terrorist hideouts in which Pakistan got a minimal success, but success was there. So at this point in time, interim Afghan government must have to think that no state has yet recognized them as a legitimate government. So if they want it, if they want economically progress, develop and prosperity in Afghanistan, that is important that they have to cooperate with Pakistan, as Pakistan sacrificed for more than 40 long years for Afghan people. And it's time that we have to think about our economy, our development and prosperity of both the countries. And for that matter, Kabul has to engage Islamabad, but Islamabad is ready here with open arms to engage Kabul. But Kabul has to show sincerity. This is all today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz on us.